Hello, good evening, and welcome back to JACKOCAR. It's the All-Star Race 2022, and you're joining me, Gareth, in the commentary box. And, well, we're letting our hair down for this one. It's a little bit of fun. It is the All-Star Race, and plenty of racers here. We've got 14, a little bit shy of a full grid, however. We've got 14 very capable people on circuit, which I will list through. Don't worry, I haven't loaded up with pointless stats as I usually do through Championship 5s in this one, so you're not going to find out that there are 17 blades of grass on the exit of turn 17 and the housing block opposite turn 4 has got 4 stories, and I'm building a part of room 3 is a lamp that doesn't turn off. So those stats won't be in tonight, but hopefully you do enjoy it. Unfortunately, Owen's not here. I believe he's on strike after losing the Commentator of the Season award. He got very upset at the filming day after realising that for the first time ever he wouldn't be voted Commentator of the Season, and it went to yours truly. So unfortunately, Owen's off licking his wounds, running back to Northern Ireland for Christmas, I believe. So, well, you've got me for the next 18 minutes of qualifying, and then a 25% race around Singapore. It was going to be 50, but everyone bottled it and thought, no, 25 is enough. They're all far too worried about the walls. Of course, it is JACKOCAR, so we are running sim damage and all of the other trimmings that go along with it. However, we do have a slightly different format to you for usual. So tonight it will be old school restarts. So the basically just the normal restarts, so the leader can go whenever they would like under a safety car, if we get one, of course. We're going to get one. However, we are going to do one mandatory stop rather than 2 mandatory stops, and the one mandatory stop has to come after the start of lap 4, I believe. I'll just have a look at yes, the 4th lap is when the window can open for everyone. So we'll go down to Mr. Croix himself as Michelle first out on circuit, running a very fresh looking speed white and blue livery there. Nicely done, Michelle. And of course, one of our Dutch drivers, one of the Dutch contingent, he'll be sitting in the speed chat along the likes of course, Yuri, of Leroy, of Kieran, of Pete Newgarden, and of course Ben in there as well. I'm sure I've missed someone, but feel free to shout at me. If not, if you're watching along, make sure you drop into the comments, make sure you can hear me loud and clear. Good to know that I've got the stream up and running and I'm not just sitting in the in my studio talking to myself. But well, we will take you through this circuit here. In fact, we'll let Michelle get up to space and then we'll take you through it on the next time around. I'll bring up the track map for you so you can see who's out on the circuit, and I'll bring up a little bit of lap data for you too. Everyone will be on the soft tyres, so there's no point even looking at that. As I say that, I know that someone will swap onto a set of mediums just to rub it in, but expecting everyone to be out there on the softs, utilising all the grip in this clear sky over Singapore. And Singapore, a relatively new circuit to F1, of course, debuted back in the 2008, 7, 8, I want to say, around then. It's 5.6 kilometre or 5.06 kilometre circuit, 3.1 miles. It's the 13th longest on the F1 calendar. There's another pointless stat. Distance to turn 1 from P1 is 200 metres. Usain Bolt can do that in about 18 seconds. Let's see how quick these guys can do it. Longest straight, 832 metres long. That's just over half a mile on the approach to turn 7, the exit turn 6. Top speed around about 190 miles an hour. It's 305 kilometres an hour. 44 word in there somewhere. Full throttle, 47% of the lap, as Michelle's now making his way through the first complex of corners through 1, 2 and 3. ERS about medium here. You can recover, of course, street circuits. You can really get on the brake pedal if you need to recover a little bit. Gear changes 80 over a lap distance. That's 4,880 over a 50% distance, so I'm making that 2,440 over a 25% distance. There we go, it's quick maths for you. And it's a relatively high fuel consumption around here because you are on and off the throttle pedal. So, well, let's get away from the pointless stats and let's get back to the circuit. And we go over to Singapore, as in we go into what was previously the Singapore Sling, is now just a little bit of a shy 10, 11 and 12 over the bridge as Michelle gets a snap of oversteer as he gets on the throttle pedal. Turn 13 sets you up for a DRS zone up towards turn 14. Quite a heavy braking zone, very easy to get it wrong. And of course, if you were watching the JACKOCAR highlights, the last 100 races here in the build-up to the Championship 5 last week, you'd of course recognise this circuit for having the floating invisible barrier that took out multiple cars a few games ago. So that was a good one, wasn't it? I mean, it's not quite as good as my all-time favourite is watching that the safety car of Mr. John in Monaco. That is excellent commentary and also just fantastic racing. But what can Michelle do? Coming up to the line, cuts the final corner nicely and gets a big old wiggle on. It's a 38.4, sets us up for quali. So who else is out on circuit? We've got Mike Kelterborn, and we've got not Ben 1 Spurs, not Ben 2 Spurs, 3 Spurs, but Ben 4 Spurs. I don't think he's actually got 2 Spurs yet, so we'll see if that's just an advert. But Ben Harrett out on circuit, running the same livery that I'm pretty sure he does majority of the time. I do like the white and sort of the royal blue look. Does look nice. As Ben making his way up the back straight now. DRS activated through the exit of turn 5. This is turn 6, not really a corner. They tend to count it as one because that's what they do in F1, just to make sure they've got as many different corners as possible. Into turn 7. This is where we might see some overtakes tonight. Turn 8 and turn 9 is a little bit of a keeping it on the pedal and really trying to force yourself into carrying as much speed around that corner. And now it's really down into the Singapore sling, where you tend to wash out wide a little bit. You have to pull yourself in tight for this next section of corners. Over the bridge. There we go. And into the hairpin as you go past the sports centre on the right hand side. And now down into the night sky of Singapore. So yeah, hopefully you guys have had a good season. I believe we did have a really solid week's Championship 5 racing, both Kia and in Cup. Hopefully you've gone back and watched them both. I mean, I was commentating both of them, so I don't know why you wouldn't. But Ben, you can see, making his way now under the bridge. This bit's going to disappear next season. We're not going to have this section anymore. This is going to be a straight all the way from the exit of turn 16. It's going to take us all the way to turn 20 of this corner here. So you're going to lose a heap of corners whilst they remodel the track or the surface and take away the stands above and change it all. So it's actually going to make the track a lot quicker, but it's not going to make it quicker for Ben. He does 0.3 of a second slower than Michelle. So down now to Mr. Kelterborn himself. And our German driver making his way up the DRS straight in towards the braking zone, into the left. Use the curbing on the right hand side if you need to, as he just rubs up against it, gives it a bit of a graze, and now down in and keeping his way away from the left hand side. Of course, that's where you might find a couple of clips, and equally that, for some reason, completely pointless bit of barrier just sticking out a little bit further than everything else on the right hand side. But we see usually quite a low grip circuit, Singapore, and especially in potentially rain configured races. And I haven't checked the chat, so I don't know what the weather is going to be. I don't really want to know either, so I'm going to try and not ruin for myself. Because last season, if you don't recall, we had one of the most ridiculous races that we've ever seen in league racing, let alone JACKOCAR, of wet dry to wet dry, I believe, so along those lines, in Saudi Arabia, where we had cars under the safety car on the wrong tyres. We had safety car restarts on dries when everyone should have been on wets. We had safety car restarts on wets when everyone should have been on dries. It was absolutely fantastic. So who have we got racing in here tonight? Well, we've got Michelle Gorris, Ben Harrett, Yuri Hasselager, Jamie Wright, Mike Kelterborn, Kieran Spears, Ben Shaw, Jack Ricketts, Leroy Hasselager, Connor Byers, Jake O'Sullivan, Matt Roseman, Pete Knighton, Corey Dalton and Casper Klein. And they have all won championships in their time here at JACKOCAR, or of course have been part of... Oh, it's doing that thing. I hate it when you have to... There we go. I don't like to flick through. I don't like to do that. That's why I don't like to do that, because it looks ridiculous. Jacko's going for his Brazilian look again, trying to channel his inner Senna, Bruno, unfortunately. But we'll see what he can do. He's out there on circuit. But Jacko comes in as the NASCAR Series 1 champion, Connor the Series 2 champion. Of course, we've also got Cup Series champion Pete, Season 1. Seasons 2 and 4, Jamie Wright. Seasons 5, Jake O'Sullivan. Season 6, Kieran Spears. And then, of course, we've got Kia have both been locked out by Yuri and Leroy over the last 2 seasons. Seasons 3 and 4. Who else have we got? We've got Mike, who was the IndyCar Series champion this season, kind of ran away with it as Jacko gets all squiggly on the exit of turn 2. That's not how you drift around that corner. You're going to lose a heap of time, unless you want to start at the back. All-Star winner 2020 was Corey. All-Star winner 2021 was Casper. And then we've got Matt Rosemond, Kia Series regular season champion, and Ben Shaw, Cup season regular season champion 2 times. However, he's, as you've seen in last week's race, unfortunately, wrong strategy, wrong time, found himself behind and quite a way off the win from Kieran, who really stole that one. I mean, if we'd really go down to it, didn't we? It looked as though it was Ben's in the bag until the last stages when Kieran made that bold decision to go on to wets. Did it work because it went back to intermediates? I don't know. That late safety car possibly changed everything. Jacko now coming down. Corey, you're close to the right-hand side of the wall there, Jacko. But Jacko now making his way up through the exit of the hairpin in towards turn 14, using a little bit of curb on the left-hand side. And then, yeah, you can't do that, Jacko. You see the white line? That's actually the white line for the circuit. So you can take 2 wheels off it, but you certainly can't take 4. And, yeah, I mean, let's enjoy this. This is Jacko really putting some flair on the end of this lap. So, go on, take it away, Mr. Ricketts. Put a little bit more flair on the exit of this one. Oh, and as a good boy, he actually completes the lap, doesn't he? To make sure he doesn't pick up a penalty. I don't think he would anyway. But who have we got on circuit now? We go down to... Casper is starting a lap, or is it going to be Newgarden? There we go, it's Newgarden. I've got the list down of who's starting the quali laps anyway. I just didn't look over it. So you're going to have to apologise to me. My voice has been going. I've been trying to keep it lubricated, but it's not working. So we've got, Matt Rosemond due to start his lap at, well, he came out at 9:30. It's now 6:52:51. So Matt Rosemond, otherwise known as Speed Newgarden, making his way up, and he's running what looks to be, I'm sure we'll get an off-board shot here, as the McLaren livery. I'm pretty sure that's the McLaren livery. It might even be the McLaren SP livery over from IndyCar that I've seen him run in the Kia Series this season. Matt, who came in as a Kia Series Championship 5 protagonist, unfortunately got tangled up with various different people in the race and ended up retiring in the pit lane in that one. Just realised that it wasn't his race in the end. He had a heap of body damage and decided to box it and end his suffering early. But what could we see from Newgarden as he steams his way up now towards the exit of turn 14? And does he do the same as Jacko? Runs out a little bit wide. Gets away with that one, which is surprising because Jacko did a little bit of a similar, but carried on that wider line, which is why we saw the invalidation. I know Casper's on a lap as well at the moment, and so is Leroy. So 3 of them have all started a lap very, very quickly. We're going to expect to see the laps kind of get a little bit more cluttered now because, of course, with a few missing drivers, we had a slightly quieter early stint. We had a driver setting a time every minute instead of every 30 seconds. So Newgarden to the line, it's going to be a 40-0. No one currently able to beat Michelle's time. Currently sitting up there at a 38.4. So Leroy, he's out on the circuit. And he's just behind Casper. And Casper coming up to the final chicane now. Keeping the pedal down. What can he do as he comes up to the line? Cuts the inside line. And to the flag. It's going to be a 38.713. So still not quick enough to beat Michelle Gorris's time. So Michelle doing very nicely indeed. Sitting up there, he's already seen a couple of people as Leroy maybe a little bit too heavy-handed going into the hairpin there, because you can see he was really struggling to get the power down, but it says he's gone purple, as we've all known. Ignore that. But Leroy, very, very quick indeed. Some would say cup ready, and well, he wanted to go back to Kia. There's no chance he's going back to Kia, is he? He almost got into the Cup. If he hadn't had the collision with Jake, you would have potentially have seen him in the Championship 5 and making it a Championship 5 in Kia and in Cup. Of course, he was the Kia Series champion, taking a dramatic victory effectively with about 4 corners left to go, with Yuri picking up a puncture on the last lap of the race, and he goes pole, so maybe he does go purple, but it's a 38 flat, so 4 tenths of a second faster than Michelle's time. So nicely done here. Now we go to Mr. Spears, our reigning and defending Cup Series champion. Won it last week, of course, in that fantastic race that was rain affected. And well, he did say that he wasn't expecting it at all, because we came into it. He had a shocking start where he had a front wing change, and well, it shows you don't give up. And well, they as Jacko likes to say, your friends are where you find them. And unfortunately, he had plenty, and Corey had none at the end of that, because Corey's surrounded by speed drivers, and Kieran was all over the place, clearly, as we see. So Kieran was some would say maybe given a little bit of a free pass with the others being around him, but of course you have to get yourself into that position to win the race, and that's exactly what he did, and came out a very deserving winner indeed. And he is just about keeping this in a straight line at the moment. So it is a 25% race, so it's a little bit shorter, so I'm actually expecting this to be a little bit more chaotic. Because I mean, Kieran, what on earth are you doing? I mean, this is like someone driving no assists for the first time. And here we go into the final corner. He's going to kiss the inside, and surely he's going to spin it, because that would be trend at the moment. It's going to be a 1:39.1, so not a great lap from our reigning champion. He's going to put himself in the middle of the pack, which is not ideal. We've got both Corey and Pete out on circuit as well, so we'll go on board with the first ever champion here in JACKOCAR, as Casper gets disqualified for parking in a dangerous location. Where's that? P3 at the moment, where he was parked, as he's decided and elected to start from the back, as Pete's going to run out, use the runoff, as he's running the alternate livery to Speed Newgard, and invalidates his lap as well. So Pete's going to start from the back, joining Casper and joining Jacko as well. So now down to Mr. Dalton and Corey, running a variation, it seems, of the Brawn livery. I'm sure he'll tell me otherwise, but apart from the fact that it's almost like the Brawn away kit, isn't it? Going more dark than white. And into the under the bridge he goes, and Corey, who's really been unlucky in Championship 5s, tends to be right up there, and had a mega race, to be fair. If you have to give anyone the plaudits for last week, Corey really did have a pretty fantastic race. I was actually on board with him whilst Owen was watching, and there we go. There's pole by a second, so he's on for a second all-star race win. But yeah, I was on board with Corey for the start of the race whilst Owen was watching the chaos at the front, and he just tiptoed his way around and got himself up into a solid sort of P12 sort of position by the end of the second lap. Class. Just really enjoyed it, and he was, as I say, unfortunate to get stuck behind a heap of speed drivers at the end that were obviously, some say, protecting Ben and Kieran. As we've got Jake out on circuit, and we've got Ben out on circuit as well. So Jake out there, and Jake actually is behind Ben, so we'll check in with Ben, because Ben's now coming up to the bridge. And we've got Jamie Wright just starting his lap as well. So Mr. Two-Time himself, Jamie Wright, is the last one out on circuit. We've got Ben, Jamie and Jake, the three left to go. Ben's going to come up to the flag. What's it going to be? Can he rival the 37 set by Corey? It is. It's a 36.7. Cracking lap there from Mr. Shaw himself, as he looks to lick his wounds from last week's potential disappointment. Jake now, of course, the champion from season 5, after making one of the that Tech Pro has just about got away with that there. But yeah, Jake making one of the best, potentially one of the best overtakes we've ever seen. Of course, also rivaled by, I believe was it Matt Shepherd? No, Lesty and Kia in Brazil a couple of weeks ago. As Jake goes P3. So good lap there from Jake. He's going to put it, so we're going to have a nice little lineup, as we've actually got rain coming down now. So Jacko's made it extra tasty just at the end. I believe he probably tried to change that up a little bit to hold up the faster guys, but we can see we've got Iceman, Corey, Jake, Leroy, and it's really going to be Jamie that's going to be hurting with this, surely. But we'll see what Mr. Wright could do. The man from Barnsley calls himself a Barnsley and a Man United fan. Don't know how that works, but Jamie coming into the final few complex of corners now, and of course he'll be in the ART chat. Look how slick the track's got. There's no way he's going quick. into the final few corners. It's going to be a pretty competitive lap for the fact that the track is now a swimming pool. It's a 140.2. I mean, it puts him 11th, so he really does lose out. But he was only 0.2 of a second slower than Yuri. So, I mean, that's an indictment on Yuri's lap really, rather than Jamie's. But look at the track. Excellent. That's what we love to see. The fact, just the cloud broke and it decided to dump an entire ocean's worth of rain on the track in what, 30 seconds, which, yeah, that seems realistic. Well, there we go. Collie done. And it is Ben Shaw, Corey Dalton, Jake O'Sullivan, Leroy Hasselager, and then Michelle Goris, your top 5. Michelle will be very happy. First one out and sits P5. Ben Harrett, Kieran Spears, Mike Kelterborn, Matt Roseman, Yuri Hasselager are your top 10. And then Jamie Wright was the last one of the time setters, I believe, and everyone else invalidating or, in Casper's case, deciding to start from the back. There we go. Pole taken by exactly the same time in between P2 and P3. Didn't even notice that. Wow. There we go. So that shows you how close it is between these guys. And it's not like we've seen Jake and Corey come to blows this season either, so that's not going to set off any fireworks. Iceman takes pole position with a 136.760, 0.269 ahead of Corey and Jake. Then it goes Dutch for 4 and 5th with Leroy and Michelle, Ben Spurs, Speed Kieran, MK Bourne, and Newgard and Yuri round out the top 10. And then we've got plenty of people that all have to make up a heap of time and a heap of positions come the race, which I imagine if Mr. Ricketts has had his way with the weather settings, he may have just mixed up somewhat. So hopefully I'm about to see effectively a monsoon. I'm about to be disappointed, but we'll find out as we load in. Oh, that's disappointing, unless that goes heavy rain almost immediately. I mean, it is a relatively long race, 50% around here. It is the longest one, up with Spa, with the longest race of the season, of course, because it is upwards of a 140 lap during the race. I'm expecting to see like sort of lap times around about 1 minute 40, 1 minute 42s, maybe a little bit higher depending on the pace of the driver. So it does extend the race a little bit, and of course if we get safety cars then it will extend it even further. So you tend to see 50% races around the 1 hour mark ish. 63 minutes I think was the Kia and the Cup races that we've had here in a few last or 2 seasons ago, whenever it was. So plenty of time for mistakes to be made, plenty of time for potential pit stops to be made. Of course, pit stops can be made. 1 mandatory tonight, so it's not a 2 mandatory like usual JACKOCAR. 1 mandatory, however, it has to be made after the start of lap 4. So that is your rule for this evening. And formation lap. Let's hide the UI. No one wants to see that. And Iceman's going to get us away. As well, where do we see this one going? Ben, Corey, Jake, Leroy will be pretty happy with a P4. Jamie Wright, coming from P11, is going to feel slightly aggrieved that he was the only one really affected by the rain. So we'll have to see what Jake could boot. But Jamie, in fact, and this is harping back to some of my stats that I had in the C5, was actually one of the biggest net gainers from quali positions to race results, because he had a spell in the second half of the season where he was sort of like qualifying in like 14th for like 3 or 4 races, and I can't remember why. But yeah, and recovering back to almost a podium every single time. So he can do. He's just got to do it around Singapore, which is not impossible. There are definitely overtaking positions here. However, as you all know, as Corey likes to just introduce himself there to the back of Ben's car. As you all know, it is simulation damage, and it is no different tonight. So these guys are all running sim damage, so we can get front wing, rear wing, floor, diffuser, side pod, tyres, of course. All of it can be affected. You're going to have to bear with me. I am. It's a little bit more casual tonight, so I'm going to take a pause and take a quick drink every now and then just to keep myself, because I'm going to effectively talk for the next half an hour or so. Oh, wow. Oh, and we're just going to let that speak for itself, aren't we, Ben? Should we just pretend that never happened? I think we'll pretend that never happened. Ben now down into 8th position. We'll see if he recovers back as Michelle gets disqualified and everyone's scattering. It's all falling apart here in JACKOCAR. And so 15 laps, and if it's anything like the formation lap, we're going to finish with about 3 cars. So put your put your suggestions in the chat, what you think you're going to see from this one. Great to see you guys as well. Good to see everyone enjoying the racing. Make sure you do all the good stuff you do on social media. Sound like a YouTube shill. Make sure you like the video. It does help it get promoted to other people that are watching. The likes of F1 esports, we've had it before. I mean, this is better than F1 esports. I mean, who wants to watch that anymore? It's the same thing over and over again. Apparently the 2 championship contenders tonight had exactly the same qualifying time, which isn't suspicious at all. But Kieran with his flat spin, does Yuri go for his flat spin? Oh, lovely. It didn't quite look as good as Kieran's. And in the back, oh, is that Pete's as well? And Pete disappearing off to downtown Singapore and pulls into just, I mean this is what a, yeah, sure, Casper, why not? There we go. As he angles himself towards everyone else. Right, let's get ready to kick off All-Star 2022 here at JACKOCAR. 5 lights, pause, out and underway, and it's a good start from the pack from Casper. But who's got the good run and the whole shot into turn 1? It looks as though it's going to be Ben Shaw, then Corey in P2. Behind, do we see contact from anyone? Looks as though everyone's got away clean. It's a very, very good start. Ben Harriott now up into P4, making that P3. So fantastic start here from Ben. Up in front, though, Corey already on the back of Iceman, and he's burning. He's getting to send this down into the braking zone. Surely Ben's going to cover the inside. Corey's going to go late, and he's going to lunge it up the inside, and they get away with it. Ben's going to actually run out wide. He's going to take a warning for that. However, I think to hold on to position, he'll be quite happy as Corey very much a late lunge to get that one done, but of course, as we've got a yellow, and that is, oh, is that for Connor? I believe it is. Unfortunately, Connor pointing in the wrong direction, so unfortunate for Connor, he's already lost a couple of seconds, and the man that has won a championship has the potential to get back up there, but just hasn't had the rub of the green, doesn't enjoy this this game, and effectively he did admit the other day, it's almost like he's trying to drive the car like it's ACC. You should never, ever drive this game like it's an actual sim, because we all know it's not. Simcade at very, very best. In the background you can see Yuri's had a good start. He's up to P6. Jacko's just dropped down behind MK Bourne for 13th and 14th position. And we've got someone in the wall. We've got Corey in the wall. Oh, we've got a big crash incoming. It's Corey and it's Yuri. They've gone. And unfortunately, that's going to bring out a VSC. Surely that'll upgrade to a safety car. I'm about to see the yellow reticle flash up in the pit lane, you'd imagine, because that's left a little bit of... Well, Corey's got away with it, so that's he's managed to get away with flat spinning into the wall, but surely there's at least wing damage of some kind, whether that be front or rear. And unfortunately, the Kia Series champion from Season 2 is unfortunately... Season 3 is unfortunately out of this one, and Yuri takes an early bath, still a VSC, so it looks as though we're only going to be under, and then we go back to green, so that's cleared very quickly, and that's not helped Corey at all. He really needed a safety car in this situation, so Ben gets a good restart. He's jumped up behind. Leroy and Jake are fighting out over position. And down the inside, that's going to be contact. Surely is, oh, nicely done, boys. Very nicely done. As Leroy holds position ahead of Jake. Jake tries to get back at him, but the pair of them still squabbling over position behind Michelle and Jamie. Jamie's made his, I told you he'd do this, up to P6 already. So Jamie making a good start. Jake is now really swarming over the back of Leroy. Is he going to think about sending it? Leroy's going to go deep to try and cover the inside, and that's going to give Jake a better run on the exit. But even with a little bit of battery, Leroy looks as though he's holding on to the position. As you can see, the exhaust fumes pouring from the back of that car, and Leroy's still sitting behind Ben Harriott. Ben Harriott, who's having a ridiculous race in the moment, made up some really solid positions off the start, and although they're kind of hemorrhaging time to Ben at the front at the moment, he's quite happy, I'm sure, taking the P2, because, well, lap 2 of 15, about to come lap 3 as Ben makes his way around the final 2 corners imminently. And we've got Ben Shaw, Ben Harrett, Leroy Haslager, Jack O'Sullivan and Michelle Gorris as Ben sets the fastest time of 1:44.434, and it's going to get broken by a number of cars of 43. There we go, 43.3 for Casper. Casper, who started last, is now up into 7th. DRS now enabled, so that's overtaking, well, glitch effectively. I don't like it. I've never liked it. I think it's a bit gimmicky. I'd rather have pushed past they have an IndyCar, but here we go. It's going to be utilised by Jake, who's going to go soaring past Ben Spurs here, and so Jake has not only got Leroy, but he's also got Ben Spurs. So the two ART drivers swapping positions in this early stage of lap 3. Of course, as I said, you can't make a pit stop until the end of, or effectively, lap 4. So next lap is when we'll start to see the pit stops being made. Do we see someone go in early, or do we see the majority of them going in and clearing it? Do we see someone trying to wait late and go, as Jamie Wright now sitting behind Michelle Gorris, and he's going to be impatiently waiting to overtake. So we've got another yellow flag out for... Is that Pete? Oh dear, boys, as we've got a meeting of the minds in Team Speed as the two McLaren liveries are trying to flat spin their way back into contention, and that's Pete and Matt Rosemond that have got themselves tangled up in the Singapore sling. Now, we're about to finish lap 3, so this will become the lap when everyone can start thinking about stops. So, well, I'd imagine we'll see. I mean, Jamie did almost 20 more pit stops than anyone else in the Championship 5 over the season. So I imagine in this race we're going to see at least 6 pit stops from Jamie, and he'll still come through to potentially win the race. Ben's extended that lead out now to 4.1 seconds and seems to be extending it further and further. So he's seemingly enjoying Singapore tonight. And he was actually saying, I didn't want to do a 50% race, and no wonder, if he's going to disappear off after 25%, then it really would have been boring for 50%. But Jamie now on the battery, under 50%, but he's going to use a little bit of DRS, and you can see Michelle using his DRS and holding the inside line, but Jamie's going to sweep round the outside and does nicely as well to keep inside the white lines, and now up into P5. So Mr. I like to overtake everyone is now up to P5 from a P11 start after qualifying in the rain, effectively the only one. Jacko, what's Jacko doing? He's a couple of seconds behind, but he is about to send it on Connor. Is Connor going to give him the room? Yes, he is, as they just about get away, and that's not flattering at all, is it? As Jacko unfortunately just gets on the pedal on his own on the exit. And he's going to lose potentially a position or two, because Pete's going to be coming up behind him at speed, catching him in the Singapore sling. Don't, Pete! You're getting flashbacks to last lap as Jacko is really struggling, and there he goes again. Oh, Jacko, there must be... I mean, either that's tyre temperatures or surely floor damage or something, because that was like some sort of interpretive dance, wasn't it? And into the wall goes Casper as well, so everyone's starting to struggle on these tyres. Do we see boxes? We do. Into the box comes Ben, so he's the first one in. Who else is coming in? Jake's coming in. Ben Harrett stays out, and so does J. Luke. So Jamie Wright stays out, so we're going to see a number of cars in. Of course, this is the first available opportunity, and this is trialling a little bit of a new method for next season, potentially stopping those making their pit stops immediately, as Jamie Wright, in fact, now right on the back of Ben Harrett, and that's probably the last person that Ben wanted, because Ben hasn't won in JACKOCAR yet, I believe. I'm sure he'll correct me, but I'm pretty sure Ben Harrett yet to win a race. And the last person you want behind you is two-time champion Jamie Wright, who... really is into the wall. Is that Pete that's had another, because or yellow flashing up? I believe that's for Pete Knighton. As but the last person you want to see behind you is two-time champion, and the man that really self-admittedly bottled it, put it on the wrong tyres, as Corey out of this one. Is that in the box? I believe it is. So he is decided. That's the end of his All-Star race. There's no two-time All-Star winner for Mr. Dalton. He's going to go away over Christmas, refresh, and we'll hope to see Corey in Season 7. Unfortunately, didn't go his way. Fantastic result in qualifying. Had a really strong start. Unfortunately, just looks as though he just did exactly the same as Jacko and as Yuri. Spun the car around, put it in the wall, and run running around at the back, especially without a safety car, is not ideal if you're Corey. But now lap 5. Oh, Jamie, I mean, now we can see what happened in Miami in 4K. So what do we get from Mr. Wright? Does he box this time around? Yes, he does. So Ben Harris stays out. So Ben's doing an interesting tactic of trying to... Oh, Jamie, what are you doing, son? There we go. Now we'll go back down to Ben. So Ben's closing in on Connor. Connor hasn't stopped yet. Kieran hasn't stopped yet, so he's going to continue. Mike takes a 3-second time penalty. Oh, that was close, as Ben's going to run up behind Connor. Connor's going to take the inside line. Ben should have the overspeed to go around him, and just about gets away with that. That might have been a puncture in real life, I believe, the contact between the pair of them, but he's also bringing Jake with him. So of course Jake and Connor both ART branded drivers, as Jacko picks up 3 seconds as well for his troubles. So do we see much of an argument here? No, we don't, as Connor gets out of the way of Jake, as Jake pulls rank and says, I'm fighting for the winner here, let me past. As you can see Jake now closing in on Iceman. Iceman had a 4-second advantage in the pit stop, or before the pit stop. That's now down to a second, so I'd say perhaps a front wing change for Mr. Iceman, for the reason why he lost so much time there, unless Connor was really holding him up. But yellow flag, I believe that was for Casper. So the grid a little bit split up here. We'll try and find the best looking fights. There we go. It's Jamie, who picked up a 5-second penalty, and I did say that he likes to accumulate pit stops. Is he going to box again for another one to get rid of the 5-second penalty, or is he just going to take it at the end? I'd imagine he'll just take it at the end. Lap 6 of 15, so we're coming up to halfway through this one without a safety car, so it's going to be a bit of a fight to the flag here. We tend to see, I'd like to see someone just put it in the wall and just bring out a safety car. Even I'd like them to survive, but of course I'd just like to see the safety car come out, perhaps neutralise the race a little bit, bring everyone back together, because look at the field spread we've got. Because at the moment, as Kieran and Ben swap positions, they're for second and third. So Kieran who's stopped, Kieran who hasn't stopped, there we go. So Kieran is now going to play rear gunner for Ben, no doubt, and he's going to make it as hard as possible. However, while saying that, Jay's got no battery left, and watch that, because Kieran's just going to disappear. He's going to sit. In fact, Ben and Jake have got no battery left, so Kieran can just effectively sit here and just every time that they get into a DRS zone, just go na 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 na, and pull away from Jake, because Jake's going to need to go big time saving, or he's going to go for a big boy lunge, and oh, that's not going to work. But oh, just about actually. That's a nice JACKOCAR move there, as Jake goes up the inside and panels Kieran out of the way. I'm done with you, boy. I don't care, you're champion this season. I was champion last season, says Jake O'Sullivan, and he is back up into what is effectively now a net P2. I'm back with you. You're going to have to bear with me. I've been talking a lot recently, so my voices are sore, and I'm looking forward to the break of a couple of months before I can get back to it. I'm hoping next season in Kia that if you're in Kia, the likes of Pete Knighton, lol, Jacko, of course, you'll see Newgard and Yuri potentially. I don't think he should be in, but we'll put him in there anyway. Leroy, no. But hopefully next season's Kia commentary will be big, better, involving overlays, involving various different things popping up. Hopefully, we'll see. Trying to get some things in place over the Christmas period. So into the box, you can see comes... Is that Michelle coming in for a second stop? It is. So Casper's going to pull out and get past Newgarden. So Newgarden not putting up a fight. He hasn't stopped yet. Neither's Kieran, neither's Ben. Yellow flag goes out for Jacko. Jacko's in the wall again, and he's without a front wing, and that might bring out a VSC. 5 seconds for Connor. He's just come in for his stop and picked up a penalty. Jacko's going to come in for another. It's interesting because that's definitely debris and no VSC, as Michelle brings out, or Michelle gets a 5 second for crossing the pit exit. So that's another one that you can get really hurt with here. So, well, interesting. We're getting penalties throughout the field as Leroy's very, very fortunate there to get away with that one. Goes out a little bit too deep and almost collides with the Tech Pro barrier. But he's catching J-Luke now. So Jamie, who is on that 5-second penalty, so he will naturally drop down behind Leroy. So Jamie knows that he's got to really hope for a safety car here so he can get rid of that and go onto a set of soft tyres to go to the end. So I will double check the tyres for you all. There you go. So it's mediums for everyone apart from Kieran, who's yet to stop, and Michelle's just come in for a new set of tyres. So Kieran, what's he going to do here? Is he going to stay out for another lap? Is he going to box? And surely he stays out for another lap. So Kieran is going to, well, he's going to fall down behind Jamie now, because Jamie's got just about enough battery to burn. Kieran's going to cover the inside line, so Jamie's going to have to go the long way around. You're not going to get an outside move done there, because it becomes effectively a W shape through that corner. But ooh, nice run there through from Jamie, and Jamie, who's on pad, I believe, as well, which is ridiculous for how fluidly he moves around the circuits. Kieran gets a big snap of oversteer as he gets on the pedal, and there we go. Let's have a game of who's going to burn the most amount of battery. Well, it's going to be Kieran, because Jamie's got none left. Into the braking zone, he's going to go around the outside. Kieran's going to show him the door, as he can do. Is Jamie going to send it down the inside? Yes, he can. He's going to put him just about within arm's reach, and this is going to open the door for Leroy. And if I was Leroy, I would have sent it there. He's going to get the run here on Jamie. Kieran's going to have to watch out, because Leroy's going to come in steaming into this corner. Jamie's going to get shovelled out wide, and this is lovely fighting between the three of them. I know Kieran's effectively here just playing for fun, but Leroy sitting behind, and he's got a little bit out of shape on the exit of the hairpin. So you can see now Jamie's going to surely think about a move, and that's going to get squeezed as Kieran jumps out of the way at the last second. He knew that was going to be contact. He's going to let Leroy go as well. So good fighting, good JACKOCAR clean for those guys. As it cost them a little bit of time, but who cares really. But J-Luke, Leroy, Kieran are your stops. As we've got, well, Kieran has stopped, so it says he's gone 8 laps on, but maybe he has stopped, so it's going to be hurting him to the end. We've got a yellow flag for Jacko once again. Is he pointing in the wrong direction? No, he's pointing in the wrong direction, right direction, and he's got a front wing. So looks as though that's all worked out okay. Ben Spurs has come in. He's going to be on a set of soft tyres to go to the end, so he's going to be on a really solidly fast set of tyres now. And he's going to pull up right behind this battle that's been going on between Leroy and Jamie. So he's in a good position now. So Kieran does come in for a set of tyres. Pete gets 3 seconds for his time. And, well, what does Leroy do? This is tricky for Leroy, I'd say, because if I were him, I'd use the next lap or so just to save a little bit of battery, because he's going to have to come under... He's going to have to make a decision soon, because he either goes for Jamie, knowing that James got that 5-second time penalty, is that's, I believe, Kieran. It is Kieran that is pointing in the right direction, however going very slowly. And Jacko again is who's flat spinning, and just about, he's now got a lap down. So the man that won the first season of the NASCAR Championship here in JACKOCAR is not going to be your 2022 All-Star champion. Oh, he might not even get to the end of this race at the moment. I mean, that car looks really fun to drive, doesn't it? This is like driving a car with, it's like a shopping trolley with a broken wheel. As into the box comes Jacko. Is that a new set of tyres? Is it a new front wing? Who knows? Iceman still leading from Jake, 1.1 seconds. Jake's now got that penalty. Jamie's got a penalty. So but these two have broken away as Jacko retires from the race. Decides that I imagine that's body damage that's causing that car to be so unstable. We've also got into the box. Is that no? So it's still Jacko. I thought it was Casper as well for a second, but Casper up in 6th position. So Casper's had a really solid run. Started last, now up into 6th place without a penalty, which is good to see. But Iceman now under threat from Jake. Jake with that 3 seconds. Of course, Jamie with 5. But these, as I was saying, these two 15 seconds up the road. So these two have really disappeared. And they'll be hoping for Singapore to come quickly next season. I think it's on the calendar. I'll double check, but I think it is. But well, 11 of 15 done. We're about to start lap 12, so I believe our safety car window is about to come to an end unless we get one within the next 30 seconds or so. It looks as though we're going to have a fully green race, which is what I imagine most people wanted. However, it doesn't half. It would be legitimately the first one in JACKOCAR this season, I believe. Definitely, there was one in Cup every single race. And I believe there was one in Kia every single race. Obviously, it's a half race. It's a 25% race, not 50% race, but that's still a pretty decent thing to have. Kieran now fighting with Matt Roseman, the two speed drivers. Matt, the regular season champion in Kia last season, and Kieran, of course, this season's Cup Series Championship 5 winner. And Kieran will really want to clear Matt Roseman as soon as possible. He's on the fresher tyres, and Matt doesn't have to make it easy for him, and I wouldn't. Make it as difficult as possible, and he's going to use a little bit of matchery, and Kieran's going to come back in, but we'll check back in with our battle at the lead, because Jake is really starting to put the pedal to the metal and focus in on Ben, because you can see that LED light flashing up in front. That means I've got less than 20% battery. I believe it's 20%, might even be 10%, but it does mean that there's a lot of harvesting needed and required for Ben Shaw, as Jake uses a lot of that runoff on the left-hand side to cut the majority of the Singapore sling. There we go, light off, so Ben's now harvested enough. Will he burn it back all, trying to defend down this DRS straight? So I think Ben knows that Jake may have the edge on these tyres, and he just wants to keep him within arm's reach because he's got that 3-second time penalty. So he doesn't want to let him go just yet, as they both run out, and it looks as though Ben maybe have got a warning for that, may not. He was on the edge. We saw Jacko get invalidation during quali for doing exactly the same thing, but it's a good run for the pair of them. Like I said, they're extending that gap 15.3 seconds as Kieran finally clears Speed Newgarden for 8th position, and he's 28 seconds down, so that long stint did not help either. So well, Jake now, he was within 3/10, is now back to 5. What can they do with 3 laps left to go? So 13, 14 and 15 left to go in this one. So we're out of safety car window, so we will go green to the end, most likely, unless it does that stupid thing where it comes out for a lap and a half and no one bunches up and everyone has to deal with it. So here we go, attack coming, and it is going to be from Jake, who's going to go side by side with Ben. Fantastic move there from Jake to get it down on DRS. Ben's going to have to stay with him, and you can see it getting a little bit squirrely on the exit, but Ben now is going to go from being the hunted to the hunter. He's going to have to try and stay with Jake, because Jake looks as though he's got a lot of pace under that car, but he's used a lot of battery to get in front. So what can Ben do as he now goes and, well, effectively he's sat in front the entire race. He's now looking at the back of the car, and this is not where he wants to be. He wants to be an all-star winner, and to do that he's going to have to stay within, I believe, 3 seconds of, I can never remember where penalties are, there we go, 3 seconds of Jake. So he can afford to lose effectively about 1 second per lap if he really is struggling on these tyres, but he has to get off the throttle a little bit there and almost grazes the wall, and that in fact is actually going to open up a potential gap there, because you can see that gap now up to 0.8 of a second. So whilst I said you can give up 3 seconds, he doesn't want to give up too much, because of course as soon as you fall out of the tow, then that's where Jake will start to extend the gap. So Ben really needs to keep it within the DRS window. Newgarden still hassling the back of Kieran. We've got a yellow flag for Michelle, who's pointing in the wrong direction, unfortunately, after a couple of pit stops for him. Qualified so well, but unfortunately it's all gone wrong in the race, and you can see Ben's just stayed within the DRS window here, so it's going to bump up just above 1 second now. So they're both, I mean, look at the battery level, 3% versus 2%. So these guys have expended all of the extra electrical battery usage they've got in the car to try and defend from each other. So we'll tune back in with them shortly. We'll just see what's going on between the likes of Newgarden, who's not been dropped by Kieran. So Kieran's, of course, on tyres that are not as good as Newgarden's much nicer, grippier soft tyres. However, Kieran's are fresher, I believe, so he should really be pulling away. But all he's doing is dragging Matt Rosemond around with him. But they're 30 seconds off the back of MK Bourne. So Matt doing a good job here, staying with Kieran as. Ben Spurs, he's 1.3 seconds behind Leroy. Leroy, he's 1.4 now behind Jamie. So looks as though both of these guys potentially are going to jump Jamie. Of course, Jamie with that 5-second time penalty speeding into the pit lane as Newgarden is going to pump drafting Kieran up the back straight as we've got Mike into the wall with the Singapore sling. That's not going to bring anything out, far too late in the race, but that's a shame for Mike Kelterborn. He ends his JACKOCAR year in the wall, but that's going to promote these guys up to 7th and 8th position as they come up to the car in a couple of seconds. Hopefully it will clear by then, and they won't. There we go, car has cleared, but hopefully there's no debris left on the circuit. They are going to have to watch out for that just in case it has left anything. No, it looks as though we're clear. And what it does mean is we're now on the last lap of the race, and we've got Jake O'Sullivan leading away from Ben Shaw by 1.4 seconds. So he needs to make up 1.6 seconds as Michel Goris retires. And so that is now down to 11 cars left. So we have lost a couple of people. Of course, no points on offer tonight, purely racing for pride, and a couple of these guys deciding if they weren't going to win the race, they might as well drop out of the lottery. So few more corners left to go as Jake, oh my word, that was close as he got onto the bridge, as he probably had his heart in his mouth a little bit there, but Ben Shaw looks as though he's done enough to stay in the window, and in fact he got it back within. Oh, Ben's out of fuel. Ben's out of fuel, surely. And that, or unless that's an audio glitch. Nope, there is something wrong with that car, and that is going to open the door for Jake. What is happening to these guys with last lap shenanigans? Wow, that's going to open the door for Jake, and he is going to canter to the flag. Ben was hoping on a safety car. He hasn't got it, and that means that Jake O'Sullivan is your 2022 All-Star race winner for JACKOCAR. As their fireworks should be going off, Iceman is going to crawl across the line behind. J-Luke has now got Leroy effectively pushing him across the line. Ben Harritt is just behind him as well. Jamie's going to drop down a couple of positions. Where they go? There we go. So Leroy finishes on the podium. Ben Harritt has a really, really solid race in P4. Jamie Wright in P5. Casper is going to... Now, if you'd managed to keep that going, I would have been very impressed. And with a double spin there is... well, why not go, Casper, until the tyres blow? We might as well see what happens if you get a double rear puncture. He's got enough time because Newgarden is making his way around now, so Casper's got plenty of time to keep enjoying himself out there. And the Finn is going to come up to the line, give us another flat spin. Just about. There we go. He's going to get beaten because he's pointing in the wrong direction, surely. Is he going to go across the line? There we go. Lovely done there for Casper. Newgarden finishes in 7th. Pete's in 8th. Kieran is somehow out of fuel as well. I mean, he's trying to be clever as these guys all celebrating their way around what has been a very, very successful year for JACKOCAR. This 2022 really has been the coming as go on, why don't you, can we do dueling donuts, nose to nose? Come on, Pete. Oh, you're letting us down. Up to the line, and Pete takes the flag. Kieran, your Cup Series champion from last week, from Season 6, out there celebrating in front of pretty ambivalent fans that don't really care. They're kind of looking over towards the pit lane. I mean, they're all and weirdly, they're all dressed exactly the same. But Kieran, P9 in this all-star race, and a bit muted in commentary, but it was always going to be, wasn't it? It's Casper takes driver of the day. Who cares? I mean, it was all go in that one. It looks as though it was going to be Ben, and unfortunately, it looks as though running out of fuel on the last lap of the race has cost him, and that's another speed driver that's been caught out on a last lap to lose a race. But Jake won't care. He takes the win, even with 3-second time penalty, and is your JACKOCAR All-Star winner for 2022. And has to say, definitely deserves to be up there as well, because he had a really, really good race, really decently competitive, really decently fought his way through, and that means we've got our third different All-Star winner, and it is the Season 5 champion. Jake O'Sullivan takes the victory in 25 minutes and 52 seconds. Ben Shaw in second with Leroy Haslaker third. Ben Harriott in fourth with Jamie Wright fifth. Casper Klein in sixth with Matt Roseman P7. Pete Knighton, Kieran Spears in P9. Then we've got Connor Byers. Then I believe from the retirements we had Mike Kelterborn, Michelle Goris, Jack Ricketts, Corey Dalton and Yuri Haslager, who unfortunately puts it in the wall on lap 1. So that's the end of our season. That's the end of 2022 for JACKOCAR, and Owen's been put back in his box. We'll bring him back out. He's been put back in the boot of the car, and we'll bring him out for the next season, which will be starting in late February, I think, ish. I should have it up, but I don't. I do apologise. And it's all in the chat, so if you're new to JACKOCAR, check out @JACKOCAR on Twitter. It's on there, promise. If you want to be part of JACKOCAR, you can go to @JACKOCAR on Twitter, or you go to @JACKOCAR2, that's number 2, where you can speak to Mr. Marco Okeko himself, getting yourself on the grid for the Kia Series Championship, which will start a little bit later on than the Cup Series in March, and their calendar will be coming out very, very shortly as well. So make sure you keep your eyes on that one. Hopefully over the Christmas period, if you're lucky, if the likes of Ben Shaw and Jack Ricketts have time, you might get a YouTube video going out with some of the bloopers from the filming day for the Championship 5 build-up and some of the behind-the-scenes stuff. So hopefully that comes out to you, because it was a really, really funny day. And once again, big thank you to the likes of Ben Shaw, who put in countless amounts of hours, Yuri Haslager for doing the highlights of the 100 races, and everyone that came up to Pudsey in Leeds for what was a ridiculous day. Jacko driving for 7 hours, and 5 from mine up there and all the way back as well on the same day. So it was a long day, totally worth it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. So season done, JACKOCAR done for 2022. Back with a bang for season 7 next time around. That's got a really, really fun calendar. I'm really looking forward to next season's calendar, because of course it's going to be the last time that we see France on a game for a while, so expecting to see the super speedway make its return, and it's going to be an elimination race. So yeah, prepare yourselves for that. It's going to be a real thriller, and we saw a pretty fun one last time around, but it's going to be penultimate one of the season before the Championship 5 at Silverstone on the 1st of June. So season 7 starts on the 2nd of February in Shanghai. Then we go to Miami, Zandvoort, Portimao, Austin, Budapest, Spa. Throwback week is in Monte Carlo, Montreal, Austria. Last race as usual of the regular season, Imola, Interlagos, Jeddah, Mexico, Monza, the Paul Ricard Super Speedway. And effectively, if you're new to JACKOCAR, that means no rules. Make up your own track. And of course, Championship 5